Welcome pilots, my name is Hybrid V and good morning from New Babbage Interstellar Spaceport here on microTech. And I'm here once again to watch your takeoff and landings. And I'm also here in my shiny red Carrack because I need to get the best seat of the house. Of course, New Babbage's spaceport here is into the side of a cliff there, so it's a little bit hard to get the best seat in the house. You also notice I'm not actually flying it, and the reason why I'm not flying it is because I do not want people to know that I'm actually in this ship, so all they're going to see is it just says Anvil Carrack. It does not have my name on it. So without further ado, we're going to go ahead and, oh, here we go. First customer of the day. We have somebody popping into Hangar 1, and we have a Super Hornet coming in, geared down quite early, as they come in nice and smooth, though. As they come into Hangar 1 here to line things up, so far looking solid. Yeah, one of the things you'll notice also from today is that the hangars are much darker than the other hangars we've seen from previous videos, and that is just the way New Babbage has their hangars designed. Fortunately, the lighting is not very strong, so it may be kind of hard to see people come and go. I've done the best I can here, but we work with what we got. And of course, we're also going to have adverse weather conditions as well that are going to cause potential issues going down the line. Overall, that Hornet, fantastic landing. I'm going to give that an 8 out of 10 only because the gear was down a little bit too early for my taste. But overall, fantastic. Once again, the name of the game is we are going to be watching and judging those landings from an aesthetic perspective. Remember, functionally, everybody here, as long as you don't crash or die, functionally, everything here is perfectly fine. There's nothing wrong with the way you guys take off and land. We are just looking at the aesthetics for fun. That's it. We're just having some fun watching the aesthetics. Let's see if we can see and get anybody to do some movie style landings today, right? We want to see if we can get someone who comes in nice and smooth, all in one go, puts their gear down right before they touch down, and it looks like something out of a movie. Let's see if anybody can pull that off today. Once again, like I said, no judgment. This is the reason why I do all this in third person out here of my Carrack, because I want to make sure that I'm not singling out any individuals. And you can see down here, there's a lot of debris from people who have crashed into the nearby terrain around here at New Babbage. And we're probably not going to see any real crashes today. And the reason why is because we are recording in the daylight hours. It's morning time. You can see there's a dead Cutlass here. There's a couple of ships here strewn about. And I think most of these crashes generally happen at night because visibility can be absolutely awful at night, especially with harsh weather conditions. And since the day-night cycle is about, give or take, about almost 2 hours here, I'm going to be spending most of my time in the daylight, and out here, I think it's very, very unlikely people are going to actually crash when there's actual light out. So we're probably not going to see too much of that, but we never know. It's completely unscripted. We got a big ship coming up over here on the right side. We have a C2. You can see the VTOLs were just on for a second there, and now they have been raised up, which is exactly what you want to do with a bigger ship. You don't necessarily have to. The C2 has more than enough power to lift itself up, but remember, the VTOLs on the Hercules make the ship's side profiles much smaller, and it also angles those engines downward, the ones on the wings, to give you a little bit more of that lift when you're trying to go vertical. Looking phenomenal. Now, I'm not going to really give too much of a rating to the bigger ships because from where I'm sitting right now, I can't actually see where ships are landing and taking off. Just simply because of the design of the spaceport, I can't see everything. I'm gonna try to see if I can watch this guy for as long as I go. But yeah, so I can't give a full rating for takeoff and landings of the bigger ships coming from the bigger hangars, simply because I can't see the entire full sequence from where I'm at. So we're gonna mostly be rating smaller ships here today. Yeah, I wonder if I can see this guy go into quantum, though. I do want to see if anybody else is coming in here, because I don't want to miss anybody coming in and going here. You can see Port Tressler orbiting off in the distance there as the sunlight bounces off of it. Now, where is that? Oh, I guess I lost it, I think. Yeah. Yep, lost the Herc. Oh, well. We'll go on and move on to the next one. All right, hangar number 4 appears to be opening up over here. It's a little hazy, but I can see what appears to be a Cutlass Black in there. I do apologize if YouTube's compression algorithm definitely butchers it. You also see hangar number 6 on the right there opened up. Nothing inside it, so something's coming in to land. And a beautiful takeoff from the Cutlass. Absolutely well done as it floats majestically above the spaceport here. Not too shabby. Definitely would love to see the VTOLs on the way out, but overall, I think that's a fantastic takeoff. 9 out of 10 because the gear was already up. They were already out the door, nice and smooth. Now, let's see who's coming in to hangar 6 now. I'm going to have to angle my camera around here as we check out this Cutlass here and see what he's just going to head off into orbit here. Nice and smooth. Now, I do apologize. You may see some weird camera movements here and there. I'm really trying to get the best angle as possible, but I'm also trying to avoid the engine sounds of the Carrack because the engine... Sorry, again, like as you see the rotation here, I do apologize. I'm trying to get the best view. The way I have it set up is that my camera is literally angled down and I'm looking off to the right here, trying to get the best view, and that's to avoid the sound of the Carrack because it has a very annoying engine sound that plays for a long time. And we have a freelancer of some description. Not to say that the Carrack's engine sounds are bad or anything like that. It's just when you hear it drone for how loud it is, because right now it's trying to hover. I don't want to annoy you with having that play so loud, so I'm going to try to have some odd camera angles here to kind of minimize that noise for you. All right, nice and smooth coming in though. Gears down a little bit too early for my liking here, but it's relatively controlled here. Again, I do apologize. Hopefully the YouTube's algorithm can pick this out because it is hazy. microTech's weather does generally have a lot of haze and blizzards that pass through, so it might be kind of hard to see things. Plus, the hangars are a little bit dark, but from what I can see, that is a phenomenal landing. Very, very solid, straight on the money there. For whatever reason, freelancer pilots that we've seen so far have been crushing it. You guys have been doing a fantastic job. I don't know what it is with freelancer owners. You guys seem to really have a huge amount of respect for your ships because I have not had really any major complaints from freelancer owners. And speaking as an owner myself, I rarely fly my freelancers, but for you guys out there, you seem to really enjoy flying them so much so that you're actually pretty solid. I'm gonna have to give that an 8 though, only because the gear was down too early. And for that Cutlass, a 9. All right, hangar number 3 is opening up now. We have a Bolter, a Super Hornet, looking solid as he takes off. Gear is already up, and away he goes into orbit. Let's see if we can get a nice shot of them as they exit atmosphere here. And of course, we lose sight of them because the Super Hornet is a much older ship, so its level of detail tends to drop out at much shorter distances, which is unfortunate. But hey, it is what it is. CIG's got to do a gold standard on it. CIG, get on it. Love to see a gold standard Super Hornet at some point, please. All right, on to the next one. Hope you all are enjoying the quality bump up here. I'm now actually recording in native 4K. In the previous video, I was recording in 4K, but I was downscaling it back to 1440p, mostly for my workflow purposes. But this time around, it is full native 4K, including this upload is now going to be in 4K. So let me know if you enjoy that. Hopefully that kind of gets around some of the issues with the way the YouTube butchers compression, especially with these hazy weather conditions that new Babbage throws at us. So hopefully not too bad. You guys can definitely get the best seat in the house here. I'm going to try to do the best I can to clean things up, but you know, I can only work with what I got that Star Citizen gives us. Speaking of Star Citizen giving us something, hangar number 4 opening up here. And I don't see any other hangars opening up here. It's been a hot minute now since I last reported that Hornet that was the last takeoff. And we have, an Avenger taking off. Gear is already up, not even waiting for the entire hangar to fully open up. And a nice smooth takeoff. That looked awesome. Also, I forgot to give that Hornet a rating in the previous takeoff there. So I'm going to give this Avenger a rating here, excuse me. And I'm going to have to give that a 9 out of 10 because that was phenomenal. Lifted up, gear up, and then push their way out of the hangar. They didn't even wait for the hangars to fully open. Wait, hey, perfectly fine. It is a little bit risky because of the desync, but hey, F it, right? At the end of the day, we're here to have fun, and that Avenger pilot is having a blast. And they make it look easy when they know how, right? All right, let's move on to the next customer. You'll also be happy to know that I have solved the hitching problem that I had in my previous videos. If you all recall, I had these intermittent pauses, and it had something to do with my CPU interacting with Star Citizen, and I've solved that. It had to do with the version of Windows I had. I switched to Windows 11, and now the issue has largely been resolved. But enough of my troubles. Let's actually talk about the criteria for actually rating these landings, because a lot of you had some questions in the previous videos, and I want to address some of that. So first and foremost, if you want the highest rating for my criteria, it has to do with how cinematic your landings look, right? How well would your landing look in, say, a Star Wars film, right? And that means coming in nice and smooth, and right before you hit the ground, you bring your gear down and you touch down nice and gentle. That is what I'm looking for. Same with the takeoffs. Lift off, gear up, and you push out nice and smooth. Nothing more, nothing less. Everything else is completely functional and entirely valid, folks. However, we're not talking about functionality, we're simply talking about aesthetics. I want to hammer that home because, again, I'm not judging the individual, we're simply looking at the landings and judging that just for fun. We're just having fun here. All right. And I heard some of you were asking, what's the point of putting the landing gear down? We got hangar 1 opening up here, and I don't quite see anything. So someone is actually landing. I'll come back to that thought in a minute. And hey, we got an Eclipse landing, missing a wing actually. So this, my guess is this Eclipse pilot was probably doing some bounties, maybe got caught out and lost a wing in the process. The Eclipse is a very popular ship for bounty hunting. Not necessarily always players, but definitely NPCs. And this person may have gotten a little too close for comfort, now coming back in to nurse their wounds, so to speak, and possibly rearm those torpedoes in the process there. Nice and solid, but you saw how they had their gear up before they went into the hangar. Again, perfectly functional landing. No questions about that. Does exactly as it should be, but aesthetically, not a cinematic landing. So that would be more, because it's a little bit early, I would give that kind of like an 8 out of 10, not necessarily like a 9 where it's like really spot on, and a 10 would be like an exact cinematic landing you'd see like in a movie. I'll give that, instead of an 8, let's move it up to a 9, only because they did not have their gear down too far away. I don't want to split hairs too much on that, but I think that is actually a solid 9. It's definitely right up there, but it could be cleaned up a little bit more. But yeah, so like I was saying before, someone had asked in the comments, what is the point of rating the landing gear being better right before you land? And there's a couple of reasons for that. Again, aesthetically, it looks more pleasing, right? Most people put their landing gear early because what happens is when you're close to the ground and you don't have your landing gear out, your ship becomes it's actually very sensitive to minor inputs, and that can cause you to overcorrect or speed into a wall or hit the ground too hard, right? As soon as you pull the gear down, proximity assist kicks in, if you have that enabled by default, which most people do, and that will actually slow the sensitivity of the inputs, so that way you are not going to overcorrect or move too fast and crash into something. So most people get in the habit of putting their gear down early because it just gives them more control, whether they know it or not. If they don't even know that proximity assist exists, then they probably feel that it is just a lot easier to control their ship. Now, again, functionally, that's perfectly fine, but aesthetically, unfortunately, doesn't look as good, and that's what we're looking at today, at least one of the elements. Okay, we have hangar number 3 opening up here, and it's a little bit tricky for me to see what's in there. I can't see anything going on in their current... here we go. Yeah, so it was somebody landing Arrow with their gear down already as they come in now from quite a ways away as they line themselves up and move their way. And again, I apologize, you're not going to be able to see very well as the landing is going to be very dark, and of course we have adverse weather conditions creating some haze there. I will try to relay the best I can see, and that landing looked pretty solid. Not really much else to complain about there from what I can see. Only thing I would say is that gear is just down a little bit too early. It looks kind of funny with the way the wings are folded like that, as well as the Arrow comes in, because the Arrow does not have the separate landing gear from wing folding animation quite yet, so it doesn't look like it should even be able to hold itself up even at those slower speeds. But anyway, I will give that about an 8 because it's good, but gear is just too early. All right, let's move on. All right, spotting off in the distance, we got a Redeemer taking off. Heading off into the clouds. Looks like its gear is still down as it takes off. I can barely make out the shape of the gear on the bottom there as it heads off to its next destination, running past Stanton there, that star. And yeah, nice takeoff though. Again, I'm not going to give any rating to the larger ships because I can't see the full takeoff and landing sequences. I can only see them when they're headed out. So I'm not going to give a rating to this one though. I did notice the gear was down a little bit there. I'm going to try to follow it as much as I can here through this haze. But yeah, that's going to be a little tricky. Maybe not. We'll see if there's anything else open. Oh, hang on. Got 2 hangars here opening. Or are they closing? Actually, I think they're closing. Hangar 3 here is closing. Yeah, hangar 4 here is closing too. Oh. Okay, so I got 2 people who squirted out of the hangars here underneath my watchful eye. People know that I'm watching, and they're just immediately bolting out of the hangars, expecting that I'll be there and seeing if they can slip out from under me. So 2 of them, unfortunately, got away. All right, let's move on to the next one. Hopefully we won't miss any more. Let's see what we get next. All right, hangar number 1 is popping open. Now let's see what we got. I do have my camera cranked really high up here. I can't quite see anything in there, so we may have another person coming in to land. Let me go ahead and see if I can zoom out here and get a better angle. Again, it's really hard because there is some haze from a storm rolling in right now. So it's a little tricky to see if there's anything actually popping in here right now. Zoom out again. Is there anybody coming in to land? Don't see anything immediately. I'm going to go ahead and pull my camera down here so I can get a better yaw rotation on my track IR here. Let's see. Anybody over there? Nope. How about over to the right? Nope. Nothing. They could be really far out. You can call the hangars from quite a decent distance away here at New Babbage, so they could be just taking their time getting here. And so we should see somebody here pop in shortly. And let me just zoom in real quick just to make sure nobody's actually taking off. Nope. Yeah, again, even for me, it's really hard to see in there, so I can't imagine you all being able to actually see what's in there. Anything else? No, nothing. Oh, I hear the sound of the wind getting muffled. That means something just flew past me. The way CAG does their audio is when a ship flies overhead, they do what's known as like a low pass filter, and it causes the sound to actually get muffled, or at least the atmospheric noises. Yes, and I was correct. We have actually two ships coming in for landing here. We have a Caterpillar and what looks to be an Aurora over here of some description here. Although that Aurora is nowhere near Hangar 1 over here. So yeah, he's just kind of hanging out over there. Maybe I don't think he called another hangar down. I don't see anything opening up, but that Caterpillar is landing at one of the larger hangars down there. And it does have its gear down all the way. Again, not going to give a rating to the larger ship simply because I can't see the full landing sequence. So I'm not going to go ahead and judge it on that. Though this Aurora, yeah, none of these hangars over here are opened up except for Hangar 1. It is possible this is a newer player and they're kind of trying to figure out where they are supposed to land. So they're kind of out of position. Unless someone else is coming in to land here, I don't see any other ships come into land here. None around my Carrack, none flying over the city currently. So I do believe that that hangar does belong to this Aurora. Yep, there we go. He's moving in. Looks like they finally found their hangar, got their gear down quite early. They're lining themselves up here. Looking good, looking good. This definitely could be a newer player because again, they were much, they're of course flying a starter ship, but they were also in the wrong position trying to figure out where their hangar was. But overall, this looks very good. This is a very nice landing, nice and controlled, and touchdown. A little bit too forward in the hangar, a little bit too far forward from what I can see here as the haze is finally clearing up a bit. But nice and controlled. They were out of position though, and unfortunately they had their gear down the whole time, so I'm gonna have to give that a 7. But you know, if that is a new player, hey, chops to you, phenomenal. Hey, at least you didn't blow up, and that's more than what we can say for a lot of people who try the game for the first time. And of course, if you need help, there's guides out there. Just tooting my own horn. All right, let's move on to the next one. Another storm rolling in as Hangar 4 is now cracking open here. I hate the frequency of the storms. I get that if they want to do it maybe for lore purposes, but I don't know if there's actual real lore purposes for microtech. I would love to have long delays between adverse weather conditions because I'm sure many of you have seen this, whether you're on a moon or another planet or whatever. You notice how like it'll be clear for give or take a couple of minutes, and then all of a sudden it will just be another storm, and that storm will go on for 5, 6, 7 minutes, and then it'll stop. And then for 1 minute it'll be clear, and then you'll have another storm roll in, and it's just annoying. I would really love there to be long pauses in between these storms. Maybe on moons it could be a little bit more crazy and wild, but for planets it definitely should be a lot more calmer. At least that's how I see it. Maybe they'll change that down the line. Yeah, nobody taking off from number 4 here. So someone is definitely coming in for landing. It's a little bit tricky to see in there. Actually, is that door's not closing, is it? I think the door is closing. Okay. There's nobody in there. The door opened and then closed. So what probably happened was somebody called the hangar and then just took off. So they essentially just ding-dong ditched New Babbage's spaceport, rang the doorbell, and then ran away. So they also bamboozled me in the process. So hey, it is what it is. All right, let's move on to the next one then, unless they come back. All right, hangar number 1 is cracking open here. Let's take a look inside. Don't see anything inside it, so we have somebody else once again coming in to land here at New Babbage. Let's see what we get on the menu. Let me go ahead and zoom out here so we can see if we can spot this person as they come in. Not seeing anything quite yet, not hearing anything quite yet. Let me go ahead and rotate my camera here a little bit to get some better position. There we go. Not quite hearing anything. Again, I have my sound cranked right now because I'm always trying to hear those thrusters. Let me zoom in once more just in case. Yeah, nothing in there, at least for me to see in there. You all may have trouble seeing that yourselves, but at least I can look in there and I don't see anything moving in there. Let's see. Listening now. I may be quiet a couple seconds here. I just want to listen if somebody's coming in. I'm not hearing anything quite yet. Oh, maybe. Something off to the right, possibly. Very, very faint. I think I'm hearing something very faint. That also could be the wind from the weather going about right now. Oh, here we go. I started to hear that low pass filter going on the weather effects there, and indeed that was because a ship was passing by, and we have an Aurora. It looks to be possibly an Aurora MR landing here at Hangar 1, just like the previous one. Looking nice. Look at that gear down. A little bit would be nice to have that gear down right in the hangar, but that was not too shabby though. They pulled it right before they got inside, so that looks really, really solid there. Let me go ahead and roll the camera down here a little bit. But yeah, that looked really, really nice. That was a phenomenal landing. I'll give that a 9 out of 10. Not quite a cinematic landing, but pretty close. Not too bad. I'm an Aurora owner. Yeah, I'll give that, yeah, that's a pretty good one. See, anybody else coming around here? No. All right, let's go ahead and wait for the next one. All right, hangar number 4 is opening up here. I see something bleeding through the haze. Looks to be a cockpit of some description. Possibly a Mustang, I think, based on how wide. Yes, it is a Mustang. Mustang Alpha, to be more specific here. Gear is down the entire way, though. Unfortunate. Nice takeoff, but yeah, that gear being down makes it look awkward. Oh, he's looking at my Carrack here. You can also hear the sounds of the wind muffling now as he passes overhead. That is the way CIG does their audio. The audio team likes to do a form of ducking using what is known as low-pass filters. So as somebody flies overhead, the wind sounds get kind of muffled, and that makes it so that way as a ship flies overhead, you can hear their thrusters a lot more clearly. Doesn't always necessarily work. That's just the way procedural audio in general works. Not always going to fit the moment, but in that case, you can kind of hear it working there. It's actually kind of a really, really cool system. I actually quite enjoy the way they do their procedural audio. And in fact, actually in the recent Inside Star Citizen, they had some really cool stuff about the resonance tech they're working on within Claudius, utilizing some really, really cool stuff you haven't really seen in too many games. And I will be talking about that, of course, in an upcoming video, because there's a lot to talk about that most people actually did not realize that change they're implementing is a lot bigger than most people actually think. But anyway, on to the next one. All right, hangar number 4 is opening up again here. Let's see what we got. We have an Eclipse on the deck. It's a little bit tricky to see from there, but yeah, we have an Eclipse about to take off from here. I'm just zooming out just to make sure nobody else is coming in to land. There she is, coming out. Oh, got the gear down. There we go. Get those wings folded out, looking nice. Look at that flat pancake as it takes off to probably go shoot some pirates with some torpedoes, which is what most people are using their Eclipse for now, unless, of course, they're doing, say, Eckhart missions, or they're doing critical threat beacons, assuming they even work, because sometimes they don't always work. But let's see what if they actually, nope, we're going to lose them because of the level of detail. Unfortunately, again, the Eclipse is also another old ship, so its level of detail drops off way far away in the distance, so we end up not seeing anything. Unfortunate. But hey, we work with what we got. All right, let's move on to the next customer. Okay, hangar number 1. I don't know why it sounded like Christopher Walken. It's just what popped into my brain. But hangar number 1 is popping open here. Someone's coming in to land. Let's see who we got here. Don't see anything. Ah, here we... Oh, Eclipse? Is this the same Eclipse we saw earlier? It has been quite a few minutes have passed since that Eclipse took off. It could be that this person went and did their missions and now they're coming in to land and rearm. Possibly unlikely, because most people generally do that at either one of the landing sites on a localized moon or planet where you can repair, rearm, though they are unreliable, or they just go towards a station like Tressler, for example, and do it. So this could be a different person, or this person just left the stove on and forgot, or just realized it and now they're coming to land. Either way, though, this landing was very, very solid. Nothing really too much to complain about there, other than the gear being a little bit too early for my taste. They were closer to the hangar there. It's closer to like an 8, only because the gear was way too early, but I probably can give that a 9, because that was right on. Just want that gear to be down as soon as you're coming into the hangar, but can't always win them all, right? But yeah, overall, very solid. All right, let's see who comes in next. Spotting a shadow below. Never mind, I'm not spotting a shadow below because the visuals are glitching out. something is coming in for landing over here. Yes, we have a Mercury Star Runner coming in for landing as he's looking for his parking spot there. Wonderful ship. Definitely an absolute joy to fly. Of course, being a larger ship, it's going to land in the back there, so I can't quite give it a rating, but I will keep an eye on it. As we see Hangar 1 over here is now cracking open. Do we have somebody taking off here? Does not quite look like it. Maybe. Doesn't seem like. Let me zoom out here. Also see if I can pay attention to the MSR. He's just kind of floating there in the air as they're trying to figure out where they're going to be landing, maybe being a little bit cautious in how they land. MSR is not too shabby of a ship to fly, so it's not too hard. Here is the customer coming into hangar number 1. We have a Cutlass Red coming in to land there and looking very solid. Don't have their lights on. Unfortunate. That would be worth about 10 more points for me if you had your lights on. Just kidding. Don't have to have the wee-woos on. Oh, God, that is a beautiful landing. Look at that, right dead center. Unfortunately, the landing gear was down the entire way, so that even though that was really smooth and very well controlled, that's a 9 for me. The MSR is still floating over here. I kind of could give that red a 8 out of 10, but it was very controlled, dead center, and very smooth the entire way. Just that landing gear. That landing gear. I mean, maybe I should take a point away from it. You let me know in the comments. Should I take a point away from that just because they had the gear down the whole time? I'm kind of in two minds of it. I still think that was definitely a 9. It just needed to have that gear sorted. Really, it should have. MSR finally finding their way in the back over there. Nice to see also the weather has cleared up here. By the time you're watching this video, I will be in the middle of a hurricane here in Southern California. Yeah, I'm a little worried. Our infrastructure is not exactly designed for it, so we'll see what happens. Hangar 4 opening up here. We have what looks to be a 300 series. I can't tell which variant quite from this distance, but it is a 300. I recognize that shape anywhere. Let's see how well they take off. I generally have a lot of good things to say about Origin pilots. They generally are going to be pretty good at their techniques for takeoff and landings. As we see him pop off here. There we go. Oh, gear's down. Oh, no. I'm going to have to eat my own words there because, yep, he's got the gear down the entire way. Here I am praising Origin owners for their flight techniques, and of course I run into one that has his gear down the whole way. Overall, great technique, but that gear, yeah, it just looks so goofy when you have the gear down the entire time. Yeah. I mean, come on, guys. I get it. You know, you forget. I've forgotten sometimes every so often, but it becomes muscle memory when you remember once you lift off, you pull the gear up, and then you move on. You don't have to worry about it ever again there. You know, just remember the sequence of things. Lift up, gear up, thrust forward. Simple as that, right? At least for the side hangars. Oh, hey, the number 4 is opening up again here. So either somebody else requested this hangar or that 300 owner up there, that 325 more specifically, owner is coming back to land here. We'll see if I can, I'm going to keep the camera here for a second here, see if I can spot them as they come in. No, is he up there? Can't see anything up there. Just going to hold it here for a second, looking off over here to the right, nothing, to the left, nothing. Could be someone new coming in. Maybe they requested from quite far. Oh, here we go. I think that is possibly the original 300 owner. I think that we saw earlier, that 325 player almost crashing into the ground looking like. But not quite. Again, the distances can be deceiving, so they're probably not actually that far off from the ground. Maybe they're looking for the hangar, though, because I don't know why they decided to come back down in altitude and sniff the top of the trees there. It's kind of odd. The hangar's still open. Don't see anybody landed there. 325 might be coming back for his hangar now here. Does he still have the gear down, by the way? Yes, he still has the gear down the entire way. I think it could be a newer player, right? The 300, I believe, has been a couple times in a few starter packages. Or it could be somebody who's upgraded from a starter package through 325. Not everybody generally who's played this game for a long time generally goes towards the 325. They mostly just enjoy the look of it more than they enjoy the utility of it. I know because my father bought one. My father plays this game quite a bit, and he actually moved to a 325, and he absolutely loves it, mostly for its looks, not necessarily because of how well it functions as an actual fighter, say in PvP, for example. But hey, you know, that's the beauty of the game, right? It appeals to everybody, regardless of whether the ship is functional for the role that you want. I don't see anybody else coming in landing here, by the way. I think that 325 guy just called the hangar and, yeah, just kind of just left it open. I don't know what's going on there. Anyway, I'm just going to go ahead and cut it here, and we'll move on to whoever pops in, whether this guy comes back or not. Okay, hangar number 6 opening up. Actually, one of the rare ones being utilized today. We only seen this, what, once? Maybe twice? A couple times? I don't know. It's been almost 2 hours now. And close to what we've been running through here. I have not really seen number 6 be utilized too much. Nothing inside, so someone is indeed coming in to land. And let's see who the lucky customer is going to be. Zoomed out here, don't quite see, don't quite hear anything quite yet. I'm gonna go ahead and keep the camera angle zoomed out like this, just in case. I don't want to miss anybody coming in or going here. I also want to see these other side hangars just in case. You know what hangars we haven't really seen a lot of action from is from the ones below, 28, 29, and 30. I don't believe they're dummy hangars. They could be. They're also shaped like small hangars. But alas, compared to the other landing sites, the dummy hangars are a lot more well masked here in comparison to, say, like Lorville or even Area 18, where it's very obvious which hangars are dummy hangars. Still nothing coming in. I got my peepers peeled here. What's this? We got a small boy coming in, 85X. Phenomenal little snub fighter with a quantum drive, actually. It's one of the few snubs, if any snubs, really, that has a quantum drive. So it makes an excellent shuttle getting to and from the ground. Unfortunately, paused as they came in. They're going to have to dock some points for that. But overall, looking very solid. Gear is still up. Now gear is finally coming down. I can barely see that gear coming down. Lining up in a hover hold. And lining up and coming down. And that descent does look like an auto land descent from what I can make out there. Which, you know, I'm not against auto land. I understand some people are not comfortable setting down or whatever. Or you may just get lazy and you just want to have the game do it for you. Hey, that works perfectly fine. But it can sometimes be a little bit jittery. Like if you're too low, the game will have your ship go up and then come back down. Or sometimes if you're too high, your ship will come down and then recenter. So sometimes it can really mess up an already pretty good landing. The only thing I would have against that landing personally is the hesitation before they came in. Overall, that's a phenomenal landing. That's pretty solid. That's a 9. Not quite movie cinematic because it wasn't all one fluid motion. And of course, there was the auto land at the end there, which not too against, but it can make things look a little bit weird when you engage it and the game takes over and it does some weird stuff here or there. But anyway, let's move on to the next customer. All right, hangar number 4 opening up once again. Let's see what we got. We have somebody taking off here. We have an Aurora MR taking off from hangar 4. Could be the previous pilot we saw who landed here earlier. Do not know, but they have their gear down the entire way as they take off. Unfortunate. Not a bad takeoff, but yeah, that aesthetic, that's a big one, especially when you're taking off. That's a huge negative for me from the aesthetic standard, so I'm going to have to deduct points from that. While that would be a 9 out of 10, takeoff, almost a 10 if they had their gear initially set there properly, but they had the gear down the entire way. I'm going to have to give that an 8. Yeah, overall, just not that good. Ooh, hangar 6 is opening up here. So we have nothing in hangar 6 I can see from here, so somebody's coming in for landing. What have we got? I'm going to go ahead and keep myself zoomed out here just in case. I'm going to rotate around a little bit too. Don't quite see anything just yet. Just checking to make sure nobody's actually in there. Don't want to be bamboozled again. Yeah, nobody's popping. Oh, what do we got here? A trail. We have a Talon of some description coming here. A Spirit Talon coming in to land. Might be decoupled because he is flying almost backwards there. Got to be careful with that. Don't want to overcorrect, though. They did seem to get that under control pretty quickly. Oh, also hangar 3 opening up over here. Maybe that was their hangar? No, I see something coming out of the hangar. See, what is that? Something, oh, I thought that was the Talon that crashed. That was just a piece of debris getting blown around by thrusters here. Now we have a Titan coming out of hangar number 3. Hangar number 6 appears to belong to the Talon owner. I do want to see how they land. Gear is now coming down. Ooh, that looks solid. And touchdown a little bit far forward, but that was a solid touchdown. See, that's what I mean. That's the landing I'm looking for, but unfortunately they were meandering, going over to see this Titan. As the Titan comes to sniff me out here, he sees a carrot here. He's like, ooh, what's going on here? He's just kind of exploring, living their best life, I guess you could say. Just exploring the local wilderness. Now he's doing some acrobatics with his gear still down, as he now goes from exploring the carrot to now, I guess, diving down to the ground here. Probably just to go fly around, it looks like. Doesn't look like they're interested in going into orbit. I do apologize for the awkward camera movements here. I'm trying to get Trackeye lined up to get the best shot here. Still has the gear down. As he now is jetting off at high speed here. Just living their best life. All right. Well, I mean, overall, that was good. There was some weird meandering in the gears down. Unfortunately, I'm going to have to give that a 7, because there's a lot of that meandering. Gear was down. Holding in airspace, just not that good. For the Talon, though, also really good, but there was that meandering coming in. There was a lot of checking someone else's hangar before they came in. They did put the gear down before they touched down, which was actually really good. So I'll give that an 8. You can see the Titan from previous has just been flying around. He's been flying around for a few minutes now, actually, going back and forth. I don't know if they're just trying to get their space legs, so to speak, kind of learning to fly their ship or whatever, but hey, he's living his best life out there, just enjoying the ever-closing sunset here at New Babbage, as it looks wonderful as the clouds kind of slightly conceal the light. But yeah, hey, you know, sometimes you just got to explore. Sometimes you just got to take in the sights that the game has to offer. And as you can see here, he's just come back, and now he's over the spaceport, I guess, just kind of exploring the backside now. He was kind of going along the lake over there, the kind of frozen ocean behind me, and then they flew back and forth from that spot. Now they are, I guess, gonna probably explore the mountains, maybe, or the woods behind the spaceport. Have you ever done that before? Have you ever just like got into your ship and just flew? Just no specific direction, just kind of flew in a random direction, maybe landed somewhere off in the middle of nowhere, and just for no reason, just because you wanted to explore. I've done that before. I actually quite like doing that. There's no real gameplay involved with it, not quite yet at least, right? Oh, I lost him. He must have gone down in altitude. But yeah, I just do that sometimes just for fun. It's like if you ever got into your car and just gone for a drive in the middle of the night or something like that, just for fun. There's no reason to, right? You just do it maybe to clear your head, or, you know, just kind of relax and blow off some steam or whatever. Just go out for a nice relaxing drive. And sometimes I do that in Star Citizen with my own ships. I'll just grab some kit, some food and water, get on my ship, and then just go wherever the wind takes me. Yeah, let me know if you've done that before. All right, let's move on to the next one. All right, we have a warden that just popped into my screen here. Did not call a hangar, so they just kind of came out of nowhere. And what they are doing is they're checking the viewing platform, rudely shining the light at everybody there. Yeah, that is the viewing platform. If you're at New Babbage Spaceport and you ever see outside the windows, that is the viewport for the exterior windows where people can see him. Maybe he's got a friend in the lobby there checking him out. I know I've done that before with friends and shown them, hey, look, I'm outside. And we have Hangar 4 open up here. We have a freelancer already airborne and ready to roll. Now pushing their way out. Gear, oh, the gear clips the hangar. Singing praises earlier of freelancer pilots, and then this one, you know, just makes the very slight mistake of having their gear down the entire time, which ends up clipping the hangar. You got to watch out for that, right? This is why I'm also an advocate for having your gear up when you take off like that, especially if you decide you want to push your way out of the hangar super fast. You want to kind of bolt out of the hangar right away. You got to make sure you have the gear up first, because I've seen people clip that and then just nosedive and beef it into the ground, and you don't want to do that. That's one of the worst ways to go. Yeah, this guy just looks like he's kind of exploring. Still got their gear down, but it looks like they might be kind of exploring the landscape down below. Maybe they're possibly going to get a vehicle. Looks like they are eyeballing my Carrack right now. Trying to see, what is this big old balloon, this big red balloon just sitting over here above my landing space? They could be getting a vehicle or whatever. But anyway, let's see. Where's that warden at? Okay, so he called in hangar number 4. I guess he got the same hangar as that freelancer. He's just going to hang out and wait for the doors to open. Smart. because the Warden is a wide ship, so you do want to give it a wide berth. You want to wait for those doors to open up. And then once the doors are fully open, you should be safe to move in. It's not too tall of a ship, but like it's very wide because of those wings, especially if you decide you want to come in before you put the gear down. Here they come, moving in. Nice, looking solid. Let's see if they gear down. There's the gear. They are now in the hangar. And then that looks like it possibly is an auto land there. Let's see how fast they touch down. Nope, there's a little bit of nose down. That's not an auto land. That's just a very low limiter land there. Very well controlled. Overall, though, I think that was a decent landing. I think the gear was a really good placement for it. They were already in position and just waiting for the doors to open. So it's not quite a full like landing that I would give them. I'm not going to give a rating on that one simply because they were doing something else in that moment. Maybe they were trying to impress a friend or something. They weren't trying to do a one-stop landing where it was nice and smooth. You see this freelancer getting pushed by the wind down there as he stops to a hover. All right, let's see who else pops in. I do see Hangar 6 actually opened up over there. All right, apologies for the abrupt cut. Hangar 6 was open for a while, then it closed. Or, I mean, excuse me, Hangar 5 was open for quite a while there. And now nothing has actually happened. This guy now finally is deciding to move this freelancer down there. Not much has been going on. 5 has been open for quite a while. I'm losing daylight here. And I think I'm going to go ahead and call this one because, yeah, I've been here for a good minute. The day-night cycle, like I said, is just under 2 hours. And I've been here for, yeah, almost under 2 hours now. I think this is more than enough here for y'all. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this here. Also, I just realized an 890 has arrived here along with an Aurora, I think. I think that's an Aurora. Maybe it's an Avenger. It might be the Avenger that we saw earlier because I see the blue and white marking. So I think that's the Avenger from before. But yeah, Hangar 5, still no action. Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and cut things here. Folks, I do hope you enjoyed this video. If you did genuinely like this and you want to see more, go ahead and hit that like button as it really does help out the channel. Of course, if you want to see more videos like this coming down the road and much, much more, subscribe. Until next time, fly safe because you never know who's going to be watching. And I'll see you all in the black.